This is PropertyBT, a podcast of BT correspondents.
Living in dense, urban, modern Singapore, there are buildings everywhere. And as the population grows and business needs expand, more buildings pop up to serve our live, work and play needs. How sustainable are the buildings in our city in a garden? Can more be done to get greener buildings to dot our cityscape? Is there gold to be found in green buildings? Or is greening buildings just too expensive? Welcome to PropertyBT. I'm Leslie Yee, Senior Correspondent of the Business Times. Today, I will do a deep dive into the topic of green buildings with my guest, Jackson Seng, Vice President for Digital Energy East Asia at Schneider Electric. Welcome, Jackson.
Thanks, Leslie. It's great to be here.
Jackson, can you share briefly on what you do and what Schneider Electric is doing on the sustainability front?
I manage one of the business division for Schneider Electric, covering East Asia region. We provide software solution and system to operate and optimize buildings, data center, as well as infrastructure for our customers. And of course, at Schneider Electric, we aim to drive sustainability for everybody. So we aim to be carbon neutral for our operation by end of this year. So meaning that we are driving energy efficiency as well as the use of renewable energy for all our factories and offices. And we are on track to achieving that goal by end of this year. So one of the example is our Kallang headquarter building. So it's a 30-year-old building. We retrofitted it and we are able to achieve positive energy certification by PCA this year.
Perhaps we'll look a little bit beyond your company. There are many buildings in our little red dot as well as in cities across Asia and globally. Buildings can be major carbon emitters, right? Carbon is emitted in constructing buildings and on a day-to-day basis in operating buildings. Jackson, do space users here value having green buildings?
The term green building is often associated with energy efficiency and lower carbon emissions. So such building definitely help companies lowering their energy costs. So there's certainly value in achieving a green building or aim for green buildings design. But our green building industry also matured over the year. So in fact, building owners are looking for other benefits of green building. So 2 years ago, most building leaders will prioritize cost saving when they consider greening their buildings. But this year, the trend shifted. Enhancing occupant well-being become one of the drivers of greening their buildings. In fact, if we look at the percentage of business leaders citing well-being as one of the green building driver, it increased by 2.5 times as compared to 2 years ago.
Interesting observations, right? This move from cost savings to the well-being of occupants. Do you see that this is the case with smaller businesses as well?
Yes, we observe that smaller businesses are also looking into greening the environment. Maybe not a big scale kind of greening the whole building or this, but definitely people are started to consider how to make the workplace more comfortable, especially now getting more people coming back to the office. And this could become a factor of retaining people, attracting talents as well.
And many people, I suppose, especially the younger generation, are more environmentally conscious. Let's see if this translates into green buildings getting better occupancy, rental, and capital values. Jackson, do you think green buildings command a premium, and will environmentally unfriendly buildings risk becoming stranded assets?
Green buildings definitely command a premium. There's data showing that the rental premium could be as high as 18%. But of course, despite this premium, we still see some landlord or building owner a bit hesitant to retrofit older building to become a green building. So that's the reason why we are using our Kallang office as an example. So we are trying to show to the building owner the path towards a green building. And the return is actually quite good. We are looking at energy saving of up to 30%. And those are actually good business case. And of course, we are seeing that roughly 40% increase of intention of greening their building as compared to 2 years ago. So at this rate, people that do not green their building will definitely falling behind.
Right, so there's positive momentum in having green buildings, and I guess investors value them, businesses value them, government regulations may also become more stringent.
And of course, as more building owner already started to adopt a green building, so when more option coming out, those that, for example, the building owner met difficulty might lose their tenant as well to this greener building. So I think there is urgency for building owner to really consider this topic, not just as a cost topic, but really as a business priority.
So in short, I guess even the slow movers will have to move along simply because market forces will force them that way.
Yes, you're right.
Still to come, how do Singapore buildings measure up on the green front versus the world's best? Also, does retrofitting buildings for adaptive reuse trump redevelopment? That's after the break.
Lens on Singapore is now bigger and better. The same deep dive exploration of socioeconomic and geopolitical issues which impact our lives here in Singapore and the region is now a video podcast. If watching a conversation is your thing, join Clarissa Montero in monthly conversations about things that matter. Subscribe to the BT Lens On playlist in the podcast tab of the Business Times YouTube channel and start watching today. BT Lens On Singapore, now available in audio and video.
And now, back to PropertyBT, a podcast of BT correspondents.
Welcome back to PropertyBT. I'm Leslie Yee. Singapore is doing plenty in going green. Our little red dot punches big in many areas. Is Singapore a global champion in green buildings? Jackson, you work for a very large MNC. How do Singapore's buildings measure up on the sustainability front with the best in the world?
So Singapore compare favorably on the global stage for building sustainability, in my opinion. And I'm also travel a lot in the region to look at other countries. A key reason why Singapore is ahead is because we have a very structured and transparent green mark certification for buildings. And this framework provides a very clear criteria and practical pathway for achieving high performance standard type of buildings. And this clarity actually enables developers and building owners to plan, implement and maintain green building in a very confident and very predictable manners. And of course, Singapore government is pretty ambitious of leading this green building space in this region as well, which is why they are providing a lot of support to building owners. This is a very strong support and incentive for building owners to prioritize their green building strategy as their core business strategy.
Great. In Singapore also, there are many concerted efforts to conserve buildings, and many buildings have been conserved over the years. At the same time, many buildings have been demolished, right? The existing building gets torn down so an entirely new building can be built. Jackson, you've also talked about retrofitting and what you've done with your own headquarter building here. What are your thoughts on retrofitting versus redeveloping older buildings? Can retrofitting make a building meet top green standards?
Retrofitting definitely is one of the way to make the building performance much better. But we also need to look at actual situation building by building. So maybe just address why we tear down a building and rebuild a new building, right? So first of all, one of the reasons is to maximize the use of the limited land space we have in Singapore. So sometimes there is a possibility for us to increase the usage of the limited land or space. So hence that might trump over retrofitting. But we also need to balance the what we call the embodied carbon for a new building. So for retrofitting, definitely we will be able to minimize the embodied carbon that goes inside the building versus a completely new building. So it's the balance between these two that we need to consider when we decide whether it's retrofit or a new building.
In your view, are there major technical and financial challenges that kind of sway some people from choosing retrofitting versus over redevelopment or vice versa?
In my view, it is really the usage of the building and whether are we already maximize the land space. So when we look at the building design, if this already maximized, then of course, we think about how do we retrofit the building so that we can improve the performance. When I say performance here, I'm referring to the energy usage as well as the occupant comfort. First, of course, we can modify the facade to bring in more natural light, make some modification so we can introduce natural air that will reduce the energy consumption. And of course, by bringing more natural light and natural air, in a way that is actually helping with the comfort of the environment and occupants as well. So when the building owner is considering whether redevelop or the retrofitting, normally we will have a discuss, can we maximize the performance without making too much of the physical modification?
You obviously need to spend capital expenditure to retrofit and to optimize the performance. Roughly speaking, what kind of payback period are we looking at when people make such capital expenditure?
We're looking at 3 to 5 years ROI. So for our Kallang headquarter building, so it's about 4 years. And we are able to do this because we can save the energy up to 30%.
Do the staff at your company appreciate the greening of the building and working in such a workspace?
Oh, definitely. Compared to the previous design, the current design is much better for the employees. We also continue to think of way to make use of the space, experiment with different technology. We put the solar on our roof to further reduce the energy consumption. So I would say the building itself is a conducive working space for our employees. And we are also using our building as a living lab to test out different kind of technology.
Great, Jackson. We are stewards of the one Earth we share. The challenges of combating climate change are daunting. Sometimes the impulse when confronted with overwhelming challenges is to throw in the towel, just give up. Jackson, are you personally optimistic or pessimistic about progress being made in combating climate change? Will the next generation inhabit a greener world?
Yeah, I'm optimistic about the future, definitely. And in my company, we have a lot of young people joining the organization. And one of the key factors that why they join Schneider Electric is actually sustainability, the track record of the company in sustainability. Our R&D, how we design our products, how we deliver product to our customers, our solution, all these are linked to sustainability as well. I can see the passion in them about driving this topic. So hence, I'm optimistic that I think we will make progress in this sustainability domain.
Jackson, I wish you and Schneider Electric success in your efforts to contribute to building a greener world. Thank you, Jackson, for generously sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.
That's it for Property BT this time. Happy property hunting. Next week, BT correspondents will be back with an all-new episode on markets, so do subscribe to our channel and check it out. If you have any thoughts or questions about the show, email us at btpodcast@sph.com.sg. I'm Leslie Yee. As always, thank you for listening. See you next week.
This is a podcast by the Business Times. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.